Ever feel like to really nail this job market thing, you got to crack some kind of secret code?
Uh-huh. I know what you mean.
Today, we're going to try to do just that.
Yeah.
We're diving deep into production engineering.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, it's a lot more than just,
Right.
factory floors and assembly lines.
It's so much more than that.
Yeah.
It's really about optimizing these really complex systems, and a lot of times they involve, like, super cutting-edge tech.
You sent us some really interesting stuff from RoleCatcher,
Yeah.
their career resources, and we're going to dig into that.
Yeah.
The RoleCatcher Career Guide, for instance.
Okay.
This thing paints a really interesting picture of what a production engineer actually does.
Yeah, they're like problem solvers, data analysts,
Okay.
efficiency gurus, all kind of rolled into one.
Really?
Yeah, it's like imagine a conductor leading an orchestra, right? But instead of instruments, they're harmonizing people, processes, and technology to create this like really smooth and productive symphony of manufacturing.
I love that analogy. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And you know what? It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because this guide mentioned something that really jumped out at me.
Okay.
68% of the core skills for this role, this production engineer role, involve reading comprehension.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but that's way more than I expected.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
What that statistic is really saying is that this is a really deep role.
Okay.
Think about it, 68%.
Right.
That means you're spending a lot of time just like really analyzing data, interpreting reports,
Right.
and getting down to the bottom of these really complex challenges.
Yeah.
You're not just managing machinery.
Right.
You're managing information
Right.
to make these like really critical decisions that'll impact the entire production process.
So you need to be able to see the big picture, but also be able to dive into the weeds and not be afraid to get your hands dirty.
It's all about connecting the dots
Okay.
between data analysis, problem solving, communication.
Right.
You might be identifying a bottleneck in a production line
Okay.
based on data from different reports.
Yeah.
And then you need to be able to communicate that really clearly to all the different teams
Yeah.
and then propose solutions.
And that sounds like it could be pretty challenging.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when you're under the gun, right?
Absolutely.
Like this guide doesn't shy away from like the really demanding parts of this job, right?
Yeah, it doesn't. Well, the guide's really upfront about the challenges. Long hours, high-pressure situations,
Right.
and you constantly have to adapt because technology is always evolving.
Right.
But I think of it like this.
Okay.
Think of these as hurdles in a race,
Okay.
not roadblocks.
I like that. Yeah.
They're going to be there,
Right.
but they're not going to stop you.
It's like training for a marathon,
Yeah,
not a sprint,
totally.
You're in it for the long haul.
You got to be.
And that kind of ties into this need for constant learning that the guide was talking about, right?
Absolutely. And this is where things get really interesting,
Okay.
especially in today's job market.
Yeah.
Like, it's not enough to just, be qualified.
Right.
You really got to stand out from the crowd now.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's where RoleCatcher's Beat the Automated Recruiter advice comes in.
Okay, see, this is what I'm really curious about.
Yeah.
Because it feels like now, with everything being digital,
Oh, yeah.
it's almost like AI is calling the shots
For sure.
before a human even sees your resume.
It's a whole different world out there.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
So before you even get to, like, show off your problem-solving skills and all that,
Right.
your resume usually has to get past this AI gatekeeper.
Really?
Yeah. These systems
Wow.
scan for very specific keywords, skills,
Okay.
looking for that perfect match to the job description.
So it's like a giant digital sorting hat
It is.
filtering you through algorithms.
Pretty much.
That's kind of intimidating.
It can be intimidating, but like any system,
Yeah.
once you know how it works,
Right.
you can work with it.
Okay.
What's really interesting is
Yeah.
RoleCatcher.
Okay.
It's a platform designed to optimize your job search, right?
Right.
But they actually give you insights
Okay.
on how to navigate this AI system
Oh, wow.
that is trying to help you bypass.
That's really interesting.
I know, right?
Okay, so how do we do that?
Right.
What are the magic words to make our resumes stand out?
Well, it's not really about magic words.
Okay.
It's about being strategic.
Okay.
Remember that puzzle analogy we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
Every job description is kind of like a unique puzzle.
Okay.
And the AI
Right.
is looking for the exact pieces to fit.
So we got to tailor our resumes
That's-
for each application
Yeah.
instead of just sending out the same generic one.
Exactly. You have to highlight this specific skills and experience that's mentioned in each job description.
So really understand what they're looking for
Yes.
and then use their language
Exactly.
in your resume.
It's all about mirroring the language
Wow.
that they use.
Okay.
So if they want someone with experience in like process optimization,
Right.
you're going to make sure that that phrase and some relevant examples are in your resume.
So instead of just saying automation as a skill,
Yeah.
actually give a concrete example of how I use automation to improve efficiency
I love that.
at my previous job.
Yes. Quantify your accomplishments
Okay.
whenever possible.
Okay.
Don't just say you reduced waste.
Right.
Say, I reduced waste by 15%
Okay.
by implementing this new recycling program.
Right.
These details make your accomplishments stand out.
To humans and algorithms.
To both.
That's amazing. It's like you're putting on a show with your resume instead of just telling them. Right? You're actually giving them the evidence.
Exactly. And you know, that attention to detail,
Right.
it's even more important when you actually get past that AI screening
Right.
and you land an interview.
Yes.
That's where RoleCatcher's Ace Your Interviews guide comes in.
Okay.
It's got some really good stuff in there.
This is where it gets real, right?
Yeah.
We can spend all day on our resumes.
Right.
If we can't sell ourselves in the interview,
Exactly.
it doesn't really matter.
And in a field like production engineering,
Right.
where data-driven decisions are so important,
Yeah.
you got to approach your interview answers
Okay.
with that same mindset.
So no more just talking about how I love spreadsheets.
Well, I mean, we appreciate the passion.
Yeah. They want to hear specifics.
They really want to see how you've actually applied those skills
Right.
in the real world.
Okay.
So think back
Okay.
to those,
Yeah.
quantified accomplishments on your resume.
Yeah.
Now's the time to make them come to life.
So turn those bullet points into stories, huh?
Exactly.
Okay.
So let's say they ask you, tell me about a time when you found a bottleneck in a production process and how you handled it.
Okay.
Right. You're not going to give some generic answer.
Right.
You're going to give a real example.
Okay, so let's try that.
Okay.
Imagine I'm interviewing
Okay.
for a production engineer role
Okay.
at, I don't know, let's say
Yeah.
some kind of cutting edge electric car company.
Perfect. I'm ready. Let's hear it.
Okay, so in my last job at the manufacturing plant,
Okay.
we are trying to implement this new automated system for the assembly line.
Okay.
And well, what happened was,
Keep going.
and we were able to actually.
That's a great example.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you didn't just tell me
Right.
that you're good at identifying these bottlenecks.
Right.
You walked me through the entire
Oh, wow.
thought process
Okay.
from analysis to actually implementing the solution.
Right.
And you talk about how it made a real difference in the production process.
It's way more impactful than just saying, I did it.
Night and day.
Okay.
And the more you practice this,
Right.
the easier it'll become.
Yeah.
Remember, confidence in an interview.
Yeah.
It comes from knowing you have those stories, those examples, that data
That backs it up.
to back it all up.
Okay.
Exactly. So we've talked about a lot today.
We really have.
The key skills, the challenges, AI, interviewing.
It's quite a journey.
Really is.
But it just goes to show this job market,
It's always changing.
it never stops, especially with technology.
Yeah.
You got to be ready to adapt.
That's right. You got to stay ahead of the game.
That's the key takeaway.
It really is. And it makes you wonder, in a world that's becoming more and more automated, what makes us,
What makes us human?
what makes us stand out, what skills are really going to matter in the future.
That's the question, isn't it?
That's the big one. And maybe next time we do this.
We'll be talking about robots applying for these jobs.
That'd be something else.
It really would.
Yeah.
But until then, for all of you out there, if you want to learn more about this whole production engineering world,
It's fascinating.
definitely check out the resources we've talked about.
Absolutely.
The job market may feel like a puzzle,
It can.
but
Right.
with the right tools and the right prep,
Yeah.
you got this.
You can solve it.
That's right.